meeting to order. Phyllis, let's have roll call.
Craig Kuschel.
Here.
Bill Carnbach's absent. Ken Meyer.
Here. And Craig, you were emailed a copy of the minutes from our February 20th meeting. Did you have a chance to review those?
I certainly did. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay, first thing on the agenda, Deputy Chief Mann, you're up. Over here, at the mic.
Is it on?
I turned it on.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I'm glad you did, because I had trouble last time.
Yeah.
Go. I'm here today because, with your permission and hard work of Chief Lenny Corral and Sergeant Tharp, you allowed us to update our weapons, bring more to line with what's going on today. And so we traded our 45 calibers in for the Glock
9 millimeters.
9 millimeters. And with that, being with that upgrade is fantastic, but it also left us with quite a bit of about 7,000 rounds of 45 ammunition that we the company that Fields Outdoor Adventure, it's their policy not to take ammo back. You can only assume that part of the reason is because people shoot up their rounds, reload with probably cheaper ingredients, and take them back and say they don't want them. So, what I'm going to propose to you tonight is that what we'd like to do is we have about 7,000 rounds left. That leaves about 140 boxes, I believe, of 50 rounds of 45 ammunition. If we sold that for $10 a box, of course that'd bring us in $1,400 to go towards, if we could put it in some fund where we could just put it towards the new 9 millimeter ammunition there, we'd actually have a surplus. I think by selling 7,000 rounds, if Sergeant Tharp's math is right, we'll get 7,500 rounds of the new stuff. As a matter of fact, we'll be saving all the time with that 9 millimeter ammunition, because I think we're buying 45s at about $300 a thousand for that, and the 9 millimeter would be $180 a thousand. So it's good all the way around.
Win-win.
Yeah, every time we qualify, we're saving money, and it's just a fantastic deal.
These would be for sale to who?
Good question. It would be people that we definitely will screen. We've had people say they'll buy them all. If, they're hearing rumors around, as far as that goes, but we're going to watch who we go to. Probably go to the officers first. Probably the officers that bought their 45s, and we use that money to go towards the purchase of the weapons, of the 9 millimeters. Probably the officers that bought the 45s from City would get that first chance on them. I don't think we'll have any chance getting rid of them, but we will watch who we're selling.
If what's left over after our officers want them, what does the county use?
I believe the county's gone to 9 millimeter also.
Okay. Do you know?
Right. All right. There's a few other county officers that I've heard that are still carrying 45s.
Yeah.
I would make your priority, if it's okay if I speak.
Yeah,
Ken,
please.
I went out
We're
and shot
thinking
with
the same thing here.
I went out and shot with the officers Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock when they practiced with their new weapons. I think it was an excellent economic value for purchase for the taxpayers of the city of Decatur.
Yes.
Because they spent $600 or less, about $1,000 on the weapons with the help of the prosecuting attorney's office. The rounds will cost you a heck of a lot less money.
Yes.
If there are officers, I would recommend, because of the Adams County prosecutor kicking in that money, I would probably give the county officers that carry the 45 caliber weapon an opportunity to purchase them so they can continue to practice, especially at that price.
Yep.
Then, I would leave it up to the chief of police to sell the balance of the rounds at his discretion. I don't think they're going to go in any bad hands.
Right.
But my other thought was, to check the other directly local burn, I don't know what they use,
Absolutely.
There's a local,
First.
before, I'd rather see them go back into law enforcement's hands
Right.
than just sell them, so.
I agree.
But, Craig, if you want to make a motion for it to go ahead and,
I'd make a motion that, if you don't mind, at the discretion of the chief of police with those thoughts in mind, to cover the law enforcement first and then any of the other that he recommends.
have a motion, I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Nobody. So, Mike, we're good to go on that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You shouldn't be saying that to me.
Anything else you need to bring to our attention, Mike?
Hey, Mike?
Yes.
How's Lenny doing? He's not here, you can talk about him.
Hey, Mike, what's the impression?
In the job?
Yeah.
What's the impression of the officers of the new weapons?
Excellent, everybody loves them. That's a very nice weapon. Very nice, a lot lighter. It seemed to be more accurate for me, which I could use. It's a very nice weapon.
I thought it was pretty clever. Number one, that they both carry and conceal weapon, or their non-duty weapon, are both the same caliber.
Exactly.
Which you used to have 380s and 45s, which to carry two different types of bullets. The 45 is almost twice as much as the 9. The 380s about the same. I think it was a great economic and a good decision on the department to switch to that, let alone the economic impact it'll have on our department and their proficiency and practice.
That was in my notes, I'm just too scared to see it. But yeah, that's a good point. Also, a good point is that on their off-duty weapons too, the same clips will fit either one. You can use the same thing there. If one officer, God forbid, gets incapacitated, he just grab a weapon and it will be there, it will be what we need. Or runs out of ammo, so it's a great move all the way around. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike, seriously. You're doing great, helping Lenny through these first few months.
Doing a good job.
I know he is, but you know what? You're helping, you're right there with him, and you're supporting him 100%.
I will 100%. Thank you.
Okay, next, the utility easement agreement that we had, Phyllis. That was for out on the east side of town, right? Eastbrook area. It's just a matter of record that we need to, two of them. Yeah.
They have been recorded.
Do we need to read them? Just make a motion?
Yeah,
Make a matter of record.
Yeah, there's a matter of record. One was at the Joseph Betts residence, 404 Eastbrook, and the other one is at Gaylord Lehman, 409 Eastbrook. And I think the whole reason for it had to do with drainage and some work that we needed to do. And
I believe they're putting in a list.
There's a lift station,
yeah,
and we also, I think we had a storm drain that went through there that we didn't actually have an easement. So.
One motion for two easements?
yes, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to take care of both those utility easements at Eastbrook and make it a matter of record.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Also, I need to make a matter of record, Jack Macklin, who's the head of the Decatur Housing Authority, has a new member to the Decatur Housing Authority, and her name is Danae, D-A-N-A-E, Ybarra, and that's Y-B-A-R-R-A, Danae Ybarra.
Y-Z?
No, it's D-A-N-A-E. The last name is Ybarra, and it's spelled Y-B-A-R-R-A. It's pronounced Ybarra.
Okay.
So anyhow, I just want to make a matter of record her certificate of appointment to the Decatur Housing Authority.
So moved.
And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Excuse me?
Councilman, do you have it on the council meeting?
Do I have it on the council meeting? Yes, I do. For both. Yep. Okay, next is to look at the bids and discuss the pricing from these bids for the plumbing on the second floor of City Hall. And Jeremy put the bids out to the 3 local plumbers in Decatur. We got quotes from Andrews and from Baker and Sons. We got them on Monday, and we opened them on Monday. and, excuse me, we got them on the 1st, which was, what, last Thursday. Baker's quote for plumbing work to remodel second floor restrooms. This quote includes demolition of the old and fixtures, pipes, fitting, and labor to plumb new ADA restrooms for the sum total of $12,896.50. That does not include accessory package, and the price is good for 30 days. That, when he says does not include accessory package, it does not include the stalls and those type fixtures. And I think the reason for that, Tyler, help me out here, weren't you able to get stalls cheaper than the plumbers?
50.
Yeah, we told them not to.
Yeah, so they did not include those in their bids. The other quote is from Andrews Plumbing. And again, he has his a lot more detailed as far as what it is, but it does the exact same thing. And his price is $17,956.62. And Greg Baker has been really good to work with on the Madison Street project. He's been a good advisor. Kurt's back there shaking his head yes. He's been a good...
2 bids?
Just 2 bids,
Okay.
yeah. The third one was Walters Plumbing, and they did not bid it.
Oh, no bid?
No bid. Yeah.
Make a motion to accept the low bid,
Baker and Sons
which would
Plumbing,
be Baker and Sons. At least obviously.
$12,896.50.
You say he's already
Yeah.
reviewed it?
Yes. Yeah, Jeremy has already reviewed these, and we're good to go. Yeah, we'll get him up there, and the price is only good for 30 days, so we'll get him up there and get him
Make a
going.
motion to go through with that bid with Baker's at $1,208.96.50.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. You would take these? Thank you. Okay, the next thing is approval of a project estimate for materials and labor to install telecommunications infrastructure at the second floor here in City Hall. Telecommunications infrastructure. It would be all the hard wiring and a rack that would go in the IT room. And rather than having the first floor and the second floor on the same, what do you call it, system, whatever, the second floor would have its own rack. And I know that the price of this warrants 2 bids. However, I would like to go with the one quote we have, as it was highly recommended by Mike Brown at the county, that we use this company. He says the fact that we're bringing in fiber to the city hall and whatever, he's worked with these people. He says his concern is if we went with somebody for a lower price, we're not going to get what we need. So
What's the name of it?
the name of the company is Wired, just like it sounds, Wired Information Transport Systems. Wired Communication intends to provide materials and labor to install an industry standards-based Category 6 cabling system for the City Hall, second floor. They would build a new 2-post rack and horizontal pathway leading out of the telecommunications room, install 11 blue and 11 white category cables and cable supports to specific locations as discussed with Mike Brown, who we had come over here to advise us on what we needed and where we needed it.
Can I interrupt
Yes,
a second?
sure.
Is this something that Mike is recommending because it's compatible with what the county is doing and what we're trying to do to make certain that our system is protected in the same way under the protections that they're putting in place?
All the security information, yeah.
Okay. So it's a specialized type of bid for that reason.
Right.
Then probably, if you're going to accept one bid, I would make in your motion the fact that it is a specialized bid. It's unique because of the type of material that's being used. It's compatible with the county system. It's been recommended by the county, and that's the reason why you're going with one bid.
Yep. The breakdown on this, the material cost is $5,500, and then the labor and equipment is $5,800. Total project $11,300.
11,300 even?
Yeah.
Okay. Need a motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we approve the project estimate from on telecom infrastructure for the second floor of City Hall. Bidder Wired Info Transport,
Systems.
because it's compatible with and suggested by the one that's doing the infrastructure for the county, Mike Brown, at the price of $11,300.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Phyllis, there's that.
Okay.
Tim, you want to update us on the Chronister situation and the survey
Yeah.
and everything we're at?
Phyllis, you have the contract, do you not? Okay. What I did, a couple things, when I first drafted this, it was some time ago, so Phyllis pointed out that the date needed to be changed in terms of closing because I had a short duration. So I just changed that to reflect that closing would take place on or before Friday, April 13th. And then I also included, Craig, you mentioned that Mr. Chronister had asked that if at a later time the city ever sold the property, that he would have an option to purchase. So what I did is I added language to that that basically says that to the extent permitted by law, once we acquire the property, if we subsequently decide to sell a portion or all of it, while Brian remains the owner of the adjoining real estate to the west, he would be given an option to purchase the real estate at a price agreed to by the parties, provided that price may not be less than what is required by law at that time. So if we have to do an average of 2 appraisals, we can only sell it for the average, that's what the purchase price would be. We could ask and negotiate for more if we wanted to at that point, depending on what kind of improvements we might have made and whether or not we want to recoup that. So I added that. So with that change, what I would recommend is that we move forward with getting Brian's signature on this and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. Everything else remains the same. I would point out that we did get the Phase 1 environmental report back,
I have that.
and I asked Phyllis to bring that so that you can make that a matter of record. But it basically was fairly clean. So the risk to Mr. Chronister of having to pay anything is probably pretty remote, because in talking with Jeremy, he was very confident that with the clean bill of health that came as a result of the inspection, that the costs related to remediation, demolition, and disposal is going to be less than $25,000.
Yeah, the cost...
Need a matter of record on that? Like to make the inspection a matter of record?
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, oppose the same.
One quick question on discussion on this contract. In the past, what I've dealt with, when you have a first right of refusal, you allow them 30 days to respond to the bid or to make an offer?
It's not a first right of refusal, it's just an option. We just agree that if we decide we're going to sell, we'll sit down with them and try to negotiate
All
something.
right, so we don't have to have a timeline on it, but we're basically
That's
giving him
only
the
if
first
he's
shot.
still the owner of the...
Yeah, if he sells the property to the west, then this doesn't apply.
Thank you. Okay, do I need to make a...
Then I would make a motion to approve the modifications and authorize the mayor to sign the
And
contract.
Brian.
Yeah, I would make a motion to authorize to approve the modifications to the contract and authorize Mayor Meyer to sign it along with Brian Cronster on our property.
And then, I don't know okay, go ahead and make a second.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, oppose the same.
Okay, do you want to take this over to Brian, or you just, since you've been dealing with it?
Yeah, it's not a problem.
Yeah, there should be 3 copies.
3 copies, okay.
All right.
Okay.
So do we need to sign that thing? Or
Ken
just
signed it, Ken will sign it, and then Brian just needs to date it the day he signs it, and then sign all 3 copies.
Okay.
1 copy he keeps, 1 copy goes, and 2 copies back to Phyllis, she'll get one of the copies to me.
All right. Sounds great. Yeah, I'll take care of it for you.
Okay.
If that's okay with you, Ken?
Yep.
Ken doesn't need to sign it now, or you want to go ahead and sign it?
He signed it subject to your approval.
Yeah.
So,
I signed
he
it.
already signed it,
good.
subject to the board's approval.
Good enough.
Okay, so,
Yeah, we'll take care of that.
okay.
Where are we at with the,
Survey?
yeah?
It's ordered.
Okay.
And as soon as we get it, and on that contract, what I did is I just identified that the survey would be subsequently provided,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, I'll get it done.
okay.
Okay, moving right along. Phyllis, I think we have some quotes for stump removal, which each year as we take down trees, and the stumps have to be removed, and there's only a few people that can quote that for us. And you have, Jeremy put that out to bid, and you have quotes. I'll let you read them, Tim. I'll open them.
And these are quotes.
These are
on the
quotes for stump
removal.
removal. First one is from Teamy, Phil Teamy.
First one is submitted by Teeny Stump Removal. Quote is $1 an inch.
And that's it.
That's all it says.
$1 per 1 inch of, does that mean that's going down? Or-
Diameter.
Or,
What does that mean?
going down, right?
Going down.
Going down, yeah. So the diameter of the tree doesn't matter, it's just the, huh,
Great.
Okay, Logan Stump Removal is the next quote submitted. The quote is $1.19 per inch.
okay, Teamy was $1 per inch, Logan is $1.19 per inch, they're both very capable and qualified and have done it
Any
for,
other bids?
no,
Okay.
yeah,
Need a motion?
yeah.
A motion to accept the bids and then take the low bidder, which they're both quality people.
Yeah, yep,
Teamy at $1 per inch on
okay.
stump removal.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
I oppose the same, thank you. So there we go on that, Phyllis. Hey Wiley, you want to talk about Founders Park a minute here? Back when we created Founders Park, and we had a Decatur Main Street, and Decatur Main Street didn't have a whole lot of downtown responsibilities yet. We gave them one when we kind of tasked them with the Founders Park. And as time has evolved and Main Street has more things on their plate to do and manage, Wiley and the Main Street group, excuse me, have submitted a letter.
Go on, Phyllis.
Of all the nights I didn't bring a cup of coffee.
You okay?
Yeah. I'll just read what they wrote here. It says, responsibility of Founders Park. Decatur Main Street was asked to oversee Founders Park when John Schultz was mayor of Decatur. Decatur Main Street was directed to take total responsibility, including utilities. Since that time, there has been discussion with Decatur Main Street Board and city officials that there should be further clarification of responsibilities for the care of the park. Decatur Main Street Board has discussed what they believe should be the responsibilities for the park between Decatur Main Street and the city. At the February 19th Decatur Main Street Board meeting, the following recommendations was approved to be submitted to the city of Decatur. And he has a list of responsibilities that the city would take care of and a list that Decatur Main Street would take care of. And then we'll discuss this after we talk about them, because Wiley and I have talked about them since this was written. He has done that the city would take care of the utilities, general upkeep and maintenance, bushes, trimming and landscaping, weeding, light bulbs, upkeep to the sprinkler system, and snow removal. And on Decatur Main Street's responsibilities, any unique upgrades, decorating, design elements, annual flowers, and mulching. This was submitted by Wiley, who is still, are you still acting president?
Yes.
Yeah, of the Decatur Main Street. And the one item that, when I ran this past Phyllis, that we kind of questioned from the city's perspective was the utilities. And it's not the lights that are over there or even the Christmas lights during the Christmas season that are over there that we're questioning, but rather the kiosk that Main Street has placed there.
And Main Street recognizes that the power for the kiosk, which the Chamber and Main Street are responsible for the kiosk itself, that we want to discuss some type of partnership, shared expense there. Main Street does believe, though, that total expense of utilities really is beyond our scope, and it is a city park. However, too, we recognize that the kiosk is a special item sitting there and been given permission to sit there in the park.
And we just talked about this just today, so I didn't really give Wiley a chance to contact.
I do have some numbers.
Okay.
Typically, the electric bill has run anywhere between $23 and $30 in that range. And then with Christmas lights, like this last season, it did jump to over $100. However, too, before Christmas, it started moving up. We were getting bills of $60, $80, which the kiosk would have some, definitely have impact on that. This last bill, February's bill, was $91. Now, there were 2 trees still lit, so we got a little bit of Christmas still hanging around. Since then, those lights have been taken off, but so that impacted a little bit. What we're looking at, because I talked with Karen, who is now the treasurer, that kind of the kiosk is pulling maybe an average of around $60 a month. It has an air conditioning unit and a heater unit, so that's really what's pulling power. That seems like quite a bit for
but it's working all the time, yeah.
But yeah, that's and so forth. So I guess I'd like to look at in between the Chamber, Main Street, and then the city, that we look maybe splitting that electric bill, and because it also, the kiosk, though, on the other side, is advertising Decatur itself. So, it's promoting the city, so forth. So I guess I would suggest that maybe the Board of Works consider that when the electric bill, we just split it 50-50, the city 50% of it, half of it, and then the Main Street Chamber half.
Works for me.
And
like
then
you
we
said, it is
can kind
promoting.
of budget, and it's going to be, once the pattern's set, I think that we kind of can, it's not going to be big fluctuations.
You're
We
asking
know,
if you can vote on it.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
so,
Well, let's do this. Because I'm with the Chamber, which would be however you propose
Brother
this.
or sister to the Main
Right,
Street,
right.
yeah.
Be passing a memorandum of understanding, I would make a recommendation and discussion. Is that okay? And then, and I would also table this to council meeting and let them make the decision on the money part of it. But after looking at that, I think it's just a fairness thing that, yeah, if you would go, if it's $50 a month or $60 a month, and the difference between that, and you would take that bill and cut it half with the city and half with the Chamber and Main Street, it would be easy to budget $300 a year for each one of these organizations. You see what I'm saying? That would be kind of a budgetable thing. As you also remember, the power factor went up. When did that go up? December, January?
The rates?
Yeah. So I'm just saying.
It's hard to compare when there was been a rate increase.
Right, and we had the
I guess we
kiosk
could look
came
at
into
the,
effect.
we could look at the bill and see what the kilowatt
It would have to
usage
be
is.
before, it would have to be because the kiosk landed over there right at California, which was the end of October. So to take a true look at it, you'd have to take the kilowatt hours in September, October, whatever the average be, and then...
Like I said, the past bills had, prior to all this, was, it ranged $23 to $30 in that time frame.
And now it's about 90, right?
It was 91 something this last time.
Well, Craig,
When's Bill back?
Excuse me?
When does Bill get back?
25th.
So he wouldn't be back for the next
He
meeting?
won't be here the next meeting. He won't be back till April 3rd meeting. You want to table this until...
Well, yeah, is that going to be a problem if we wait until he gets back? That way Craig can recuse himself.
Yeah, to be doing the right thing, but just for discussion purposes,
Right.
I thought I'd share that. That's okay.
That's what I
No,
would suggest.
I don't see a problem, as long as we're going in that direction. We're not on any real strict timeline.
Okay, then I am going to just advise that we table this until our April 3rd meeting when Bill's returned, and at that time we can make a decision. But I think that, I agree with you, Craig, that probably a 50-50 is a
Pretty
more
cool
than fair
split.
Yeah. So I'll make that motion if you want to second that. That we
Second,
table it.
if I can. Yeah,
You
second.
can table it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep. Melissa, let's talk about some fun things here. I wanted Melissa to come and mention, I've talked to all the council members about our first fundraiser for the Hannah Nutman Park, which it's not only a fundraiser, but would also be a quality of life event for the city of Decatur residents, and hopefully attract some people from out of town to come and spend an evening in Decatur. And that is that we have booked a concert to be held at the high school on May 6th with the Mercy Beatles. And Melissa's just kind of, I asked her if she would come and give us some particulars about the concert and about ticket sales and anything else I haven't thought of. So take it away.
Okay. The Mercy Beatles is a Beatles tribute band, and the mayor has seen them, so it comes free for him.
I'll jump back in. I've seen them twice. I've never seen the Beatles, obviously, but I don't think anybody has in here. But they're really good. They're excellent. And they're from Liverpool, England, and they got their start playing in the Cavern, which is the same place that the Beatles did. They've played the Cavern hundreds of times, and then they were kind of discovered and went on tour, and they've toured all over the world. I mean, literally all over the world. And there's kind of a funny story behind it all, and that is that the guy who actually brought them to the United States and now serves as their stateside manager is from Hoagland. And his name is Mark Minnick. And I think he's an entrepreneur that I believe owns several Subway sandwich restaurants, whatever. And so yeah, while we were talking to him about booking this, he was in Florida with them for the entire month touring Florida. And he gave us a little window of opportunity as to when we could bring them in. They're going to be playing in Warsaw at the Wagon Wheel Theater 2 days before. But they play somewhere, I think, May 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. I mean, they're going like from here, I think, to Wisconsin or Nashville or somewhere. But so generally, they've played at the Embassy. They've played at what used to be the Shriners Place. It's now St. Francis University's auditorium. And they've played at the C2G Music Hall in Fort Wayne. And rather than having them in Fort Wayne this year, Mark has discounted their price and allowed us to use them. And if we can promote this thing and get a good crowd there, if we sell out the lower half of the auditorium, if you're familiar with Belmont's auditorium, and nobody said in the upper part we could clear almost $10,000 to go toward Hannah Nutman. So we are going to put tickets on sale for the, I'm doing all the talking here. We're going to put tickets on sale for the lower half only, and if they go briskly, then we'll open up the upper arena, which was a suggestion from Mark Minnick, because he said if the upper arena, he says in that auditorium there isn't a bad seat. You can see just as good from up high as you can from down low, and he says why would someone pay more than just buy the cheap tickets? So he says let's keep because you'll have more fun at an event if it's a lot of people, and then everybody kind of gets more into it and it's more fun. And so he encouraged us to try to sell the majority of the lower arena before we even open up the upper arena. Melissa, I'm sorry.
This will be at Belmont High School, and we have met several times with Jeannie Smith, who runs the auditorium at the high school. So we're all very much in tune with what the band needs, what the high school provides, and what we would have to provide. Like the mayor mentioned, while they were touring in Florida, they had a light and sound guy with them who happens to live in Fort Wayne. And so he came down and looked at the theater and assessed what they would need, what he would need to bring. So to keep ourselves and the school out of the lighting and sound business, we would propose that this gentleman come in and take care of everything.
His name is Rob Ryder, and that's what he does for a living, is just sound. He does sound. When I saw them at the Embassy Theater, he did the sound. When the Philharmonic came and played at Belmont Auditorium, he did the sound. So, I mean, he's a very reputable person.
So we're looking at 4 different price points, with the highest price point being a VIP experience where you would have prime seating and then have a chance for about a half hour before the show to go in and visit with the band and do photos and all that kind of fun stuff. So at the suggestion of Mark Minnick, we have investigated the company called eTix, and it's how we would direct people to purchase tickets online. And I've done a lot of investigating. I've talked to a gentleman on the phone in Chicago who would be our contact for everything from contract to technical questions to anything setting up the event on their website. And that was a relief. I managed the Decatur tickets last year, and I was never able to speak with a person on the phone when you're trying to manage an online ticketing business. So I would recommend that we use this eTix company. As we've talked with them, as the city is a nonprofit, a municipality, they would charge us nothing for providing this service. They get paid in a ticket fee, and then there's a credit card fee that we would pass along to the purchaser of the ticket. So they would be able to offer this to us at absolutely no cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked them 100 times in 100 different ways, are you sure we're not going to be charged a fee per ticket? And we've got a contract, and I spoke with him again today, and we are not going to be charged any ticketing fees.
How much is the show?
The show is, what are we paying the Mercy Beatles?
Yeah.
$5,000.
Okay. And then, what are the tickets going for? You care to share that or not?
Yeah.
What's the
We
VIP?
think we have a final decision.
Yeah, we think we have a final decision
of
here.
4 price points, $45 for the VIP. The next one would be $27, $22, and $20.
And the $20 rooms wouldn't go on sale until after.
That's upper level.
That's the upper
What's the
section area.
27 there, Melissa?
27
Is most of the arena. Actually, I got it here. I'll just show you real
It just
quick.
breaks out.
Is the ticket company going to go like a
Yep.
graph of
Yep.
Yes.
Is it
The high
festival?
school
You just go right on there and pick your own seat.
with
Okay.
this.
Here, pass this that way.
And
Pass
so
this
we
way.
will send this to the ticketing company, and they will do their ticket magic. So when I go on to order tickets, I can say I want H, 5, 6, and 7, and I can actually pick those tickets.
So the yellow area would be the VIP?
That's there's 94 seats in the VIP area.
No. Oh, yeah.
Yep, in the yellow area. Then that orangish colored area at $27 a seat, There's 378 seats. And then the blue tickets, which are the far outer banks of the lower arena, there are 96 of those, and those would be at $22 each.
Okay.
And there's 568 total seats in the lower arena. We just had over 400 people attend Decatur's Most Talented, and I think we can sell a lot of tickets for this. Pardon? It was only $6, I think,
It was
wasn't it?
$5 and $6.
Yeah.
So
it was
tank
cheap.
area, how many seats are in that area? Is that 90 to 100 on each side?
On the upper area?
Yeah.
There, I just got that information from her just a little bit ago. There are, some of the seats up there are broken,
Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
So it would probably, when we sell those, it'd probably just be a general admission, and they can first come, first serve, grab a seat. On the left side, there's 121 working seats. On the right side, there's 120. So there's a total of 241 more seats up in that upper area.
okay.
Did the ticket company tell you what there's?
You have a seat number?
Charges last, but did they say
I
what
can
their
tell you all
service
that.
fee was gonna be when someone buys the ticket?
Yeah, it's 10%.
When someone buys a ticket online,
That's how we kind of came up with these figures.
there's two fees. The first one will be what they're calling a market service fee. That's a 10% of the face value of the ticket. That will go back to e-tix as how they make money. The second fee is a charge card fee
Which is
as
normal.
you buy online, and that's a 3% fee.
The new Clyde Theaters opening in Fort Wayne,
Mhm.
it's all through e-tix,
Yeah,
what they do.
and some of the clients of this e-tix, they do all the ticketing for the Indiana State Fair events. They also do the Goshen Air Show. We asked, are there anybody locally or close to us that you use? And those are the two that they mentioned.
And
So the
anybody who
VIP
buys-
would be like 51 something? Or is it
Yes.
45?
45 is the base ticket price, and then once you add the 10%
$49.50.
fee, and then the 3%, it's approximately $5-ish, $6-ish dollars.
All right, so 51
And if
roughly.
you purchase anything online like a ticket, you assume that that's going to be the case.
I'm going to a concert next week. I bought $95 tickets, and they actually cost me about $105 because of the service charges.
People will be able to purchase tickets by phone, and in either scenario, internet or phone call, you can choose that they email you the tickets, or they can
Print 'em
physically
off.
mail you the tickets to your house. We will deal with no ticket sales at all. We will not touch any money. We will not have tickets for sale here. The only way you can purchase a ticket is online or by phone through e-tix. If there are tickets left the day of the event that we would like to sell at the door, we do have the option to do that. There would be a fee for that. It's 15 cents per ticket
For them to print
for
the
them to
tickets.
print those off, send them
Would
to
we have
us,
to,
and then we sell them
could we
at the
print
door.
those? I mean, just a chintzy copy
I
machine
haven't
ticket?
got that far yet,
Okay.
but
I don't know if we would know what seats were available, if they were selling and all that, maybe part of it. 15 cents is not that bad for,
True, yeah.
they know what the seats
Yep,
are.
yep.
Otherwise, someone's gotta go through and see what seats to take.
Mhm.
the other fee that we could experience is, let's say that we decided we wanted 20 comp tickets. They would need to issue those to us for that same reason that they know what tickets are available. We would be charged the 15 cents per ticket plus any shipping it took to get those here. But again, that's only if we would ask for any kind of comp tickets, or anything. We would have to run it through them so they could show live what tickets are available.
The Greater Decatur Committee, well, actually, this would be hosted by the City of Decatur and the Decatur Park and Rec, since Hannah Nutman's Park and Rec, but we'll actually run it with Greater Decatur. The Greater Decatur Committee will serve as the ushers and ticket takers and all that.
The company will also provide to us at no charge an app. Anybody who's ushering people or taking tickets, you'll download an app on your phone that's got that fancy scanner, and you'll bring up your phone, and I'll scan your phone with my phone, and it'll say beep, you can go in, and then it'll register everybody who has checked in with their ticket. So we can have 5 or 6 or however many Greater Decatur volunteers at the door scanning printed tickets, or that you show the email on your phone.
I wanted to bring this up at the Board of Works meeting, so we can kind of go over all of this, because we can't advertise this until the contract's signed. And I don't really want to talk about it any more than we have to with the media here, so that we don't get a big press release. I know it's a press release is not an advertisement, but I have to bring this up at council to get council's approval on this. But I'd like to kind of keep the dialogue as low-key as we could, if that makes sense. In addition to that, I also wanted Melissa, do you want to talk about Hannah Nutman at all, or do you want to do that at that we can talk about at the council meeting all we want?
What would you prefer?
Yeah, might as well just hear it once.
We got a half an hour.
I'm not quite done. I have
Okay.
one or two more things. So, but does anyone on council have any questions about this? I mean, I'd kind of talked to all of you before a little bit about it.
We're trying something new.
Yeah, I mean, if we only sell a few hundred tickets, we'll still likely make a little. If we, go ahead.
Would it be worth looking for sponsors to sponsor the band?
Well, we discussed that. Now, and later on, she's going to talk about Hannah Nutman. We need big sponsors for Hannah Nutman if we're going to raise $1 million. So I would just assume the city foot the bill on this, because this is going to Hannah Nutman. So I mean, if you go out and get somebody to say, hey, we're the main sponsor of this, we paid $2,500, I'd rather than just give the $2,500 to Hannah Nutman. If you know what I mean. I mean, it's all going the same place. And we're going to, Phyllis said she would pay this expense out of the, what do you call it, the Park and Rec?
Well, I wondered if we could do that. Can we just pay, even though the Park and Rec donation fund wasn't set up that way, it's non-reverting, could we receipt that in there, and then it'd be
Put the money
expended
back
back out?
What was the non-reverting fund established for?
Just donations?
But in terms of the use of those funds, is there something in the
I think it's,
enabling ordinance that identifies the type of...
I think it's just for improvement. I'll have to double check, but I think that's what it was.
Okay. I'll have to
That's
look
why
at
I
that.
wondered if we, or should we set up a whole separate fund for Hannah Nutman project and do all this? all
Well,
out of one fund?
at some point, you're probably going to have to do that if we're taking contributions,
Right.
because a lot of contributors are going to be wanting a contribution letter for tax purposes.
True. So we need to
Right.
just set up a separate fund? So what you're saying?
But, you know,
This is all part
initially,
of it.
yeah, I mean, we could look at what the ordinance says as far as the non-reverting fund to see whether or not the intended use that was established in the ordinance is broad enough in scope that it would cover this type of an expense. So I can take a look at that.
Okay. Well, regardless, if we can't do it from there, we'll...
Money from our promotions fund, we still have $20,000. This is promoting the city, unless you were to use any of it.
Yeah, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to take it out of something that we could put it back
Right.
with the revenue that we bring in, and we can't just put money back in any account. There's only certain accounts that you can put money back into.
I would just
That's where she comes in.
give you all the benefit.
Yeah.
Tyler, I think if someone was intent on sponsoring the concert,
Yeah.
that we would certainly talk with them and make sure that they understood. If they want to sponsor and that's their hand and that's contribution, that we make that work. It's just going to be, how do people want to see their money recognized? I don't think we want to turn anybody away if they say, hey, we want to sponsor the concert at a significant level.
True. That's very true.
People don't do it for free.
Yeah. So, we'll bring that up again at the council meeting, along with more information about Hannah Nutman and the marketing strategy that Lofthouse is working on and what we're working on at the council meeting. Now, if I can find my Board of Works agenda again, we'll go back to the Board of Works meeting. Actually, I think we only have one more thing on the agenda. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
And Kevin? Kevin wants to kind of talk about a couple of things. He wants to update us on the software for the utility department, and then also talk to us about COCOSing, however you say it, guaranteed pricing contract to do the Clarifair project at the waste treatment plant. Doesn't matter, I can take it. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, that COCOSing, that's just the maximum guaranteed price. That's part of the guaranteed savings contract that we do with COCOSing. They are wanting to start that process. They're going to meet the More Works next meeting, the 20th, I believe it is. And they're going to present all this as well. But they wanted to get us a price beforehand. So how that works with the guaranteed maximum price, that's the most we'll pay for the project. There's, with the guaranteed savings contract, there are things we can negotiate within the contract that may lower that price. And so that's all just savings. So if we get different materials or different equipment in there, it may cut back on the price as well. They're looking at about 14 months to finish the project. I talked with Tina Wolf today, said a lot of the equipment is a 35-week lead time. So that puts us into close to November. And some of the equipment needs painted in November. It's usually too cold to paint, so that might push us into spring of next year. They're originally looking at by the end of this year being completed. Any questions on that at all? As far as the new software,
And you want to comment on any of this from COCOSing?
I wish we didn't have to wait that long, but I don't know.
there may be some things that they can do in the meantime. There are some things that can't be done until the spring if you have to wait that long for some of the equipment. But
Well, this
helps us.
for the operating.
This helps us pay for it a little bit, spreads it out a little longer.
It does.
So.
It does. Yeah.
But and they're working on trying to at least get some of the equipment sooner than 30 to 35 weeks. That way.
It's nice that we are able to pay for this without having to do, yes.
Or anything like that. And that's not guaranteed quite yet, but that's,
Right.
that's where we're going to try to do it.
Yep, yep.
Avoid a bunch of those soft costs that don't need to be done if we don't have to.
And Ann, you got any comments, I mean, from the,
It's about the price that I was thinking they'd come back with, and I guess we'll see as it progresses if there's any way to save any money.
okay? And before you go to the utility software, one more that has to do with your department, Ann, and that is, and Don's not here to talk about it, but I'll try to report and you can help me out. He's really been working a lot on US 27 South. Gentleman George Womack, a lot of you know where he lives. If you know where Crookberg Realty is, there on the corner of what's that county road, 450 or 500? 500 and US 27 is where Crookberg's office is. Gentleman that lives right next door, anytime we get a big rain, he can't flush his toilets. It's been like that ever since I've been mayor and before I was mayor. And yeah, Matt, you've heard from him. Trying to figure out why has been a real problem.
The elevations have been checked and different logical things.
And Don is just not like, he's like determined to get this figured out. So the first thing he kind of concluded was that Arby's has had a major oil grease spill and that it wasn't properly cleaned. And then that was a few years ago.
2015.
Yeah, but George has been having problems, every bit of that, yeah. And in addition to that, even still when they have a clean out where a company comes in and vacuums this clean out and cleans the grease out of this clean out. When Don was out there, it had a lot of grease in it, and they had just had it cleaned like a week before. And so maybe the company that they've been using hasn't been doing a real good job, but nonetheless, the line had a lot of grease in it. So Don and Bobby, Gavin, wasn't it Bobby?
Yeah.
And somebody else, they went out there and they
I think Bryce was out there.
yeah, they
Well,
jetted it, thank you.
yeah, but then they had Andrews doing his
Camera thing.
camera, but they used Andrew's jet sprayer because it
Had hot water.
Yeah, it had hot water.
To get it out, they had needed hot water, not just cold water. But so they've got a lot of it out of there. So we thought, well, okay, we found this, but then we had some rain and George still had some problems. It wasn't as bad, okay, but he still had some problems. So they continued looking, and then they were out in front of where the Geneva Bank's going to get built, almost to Arby's, and they thought they smelled something, and so they, upon examination, got down to the little pond out in front of Arby's, which was just covered with a skim of something, and it was diesel fuel from McClure's. So our guys caught that. And that's been over a week now, and
Started the 22nd.
the 22nd, and McClure's is still not selling diesel fuel. Premium, just the just
Sell the regular diesel.
Okay.
We're allowing to keep them pumps open. The diesel, the premium diesel pump is shut down.
Can you were out there today some, can you account for what they discovered today?
They're rebuilding their pumps, their premium diesel pump now. First they said they didn't have one, we proved to them, they did a couple tests, they got a line leaking from the premium diesel to their main pump, going to the discharge pumps. We know that for a fact. We're working on repairing all that, rebuilding the pump and everything. They're going to do a hydrogen test, I think is what it is, to see if they can pinpoint exactly where that's leaking. They thought they found out where it was getting into a drain. They dug out up, repaired that yesterday. The type of tile that they got in that, on that property can get in that drain and go to that reservoir out front with ease and anywhere on that property.
Let me add in here that when Don and Bobby found this, they called Jeremy, and I think they called Ann, and thankfully to all of our department heads' credit, immediate action was taken. The EMA was contacted, IDEM was contacted. To my knowledge, IDEM is still here, right?
Off and on.
Yeah. I mean, IDEM is going to come down pretty hard on McClure's, most likely.
We're monitoring it on a daily basis. Street department and fire department.
That diesel fuel not only got into that little pond in front of, whatever you call it, the detention pond in front of Arby's.
Roadway.
It also went from there and it made its way back to the pond behind the old Kmart. And then it even leaked out of that into the ditch that runs over through the cemetery. So our guys caught it and quickly went to the Kmart place and they dammed it so that it couldn't get out of there anymore. So, I mean, they did a really good job on stopping everything. Now that McClure's is going to have to pay to clean that pond at the Kmart, and they're going to completely have to empty that detention pond and take out all the lily pads, everything that's in there, every bit of vegetation that's in there is going to have to be replaced. So, at least this is what I've been told by Jeremy and Don. So.
I don't know that we do. There could be at least a foot or two.
It is big.
That would need to be
It's just
taken out of
I have a question. Yeah. The day that all came about, there was Les was out there till late that evening. Street department guys were out there till late that evening. Wastewater guys were out there. It was a long day for them. But so hats off to all of our crews for finding it, contacting all the right people, and then, like I said, to go over and dam that pond behind Kmart, I thought that was brilliant. So, so is that everything for out there on the? Oh, one more thing then, in an effort to try to continue to find what's going on with that line, so that we don't want Bank of Geneva to build and have any sewer issues. Don's been going through Oakwood subdivision, and
He was going to bring that up or not. I guess.
I'd rather bring it up here. I'd rather bring it up here than later. But am I right? He has actually found some.
Well, see, when we talked a couple days ago, I didn't know he found those storm catch basins that are connected to our sanitary sewer. Now, he told us that the roots are so bad in that sanitary sewer.
There's a lot of big trees out there.
Roots intruding. Because why those catch basins didn't show up on the smoke testing? The only thing I can think of is the roots didn't let the smoke travel up that way. But they should have showed up with the smoke testing a couple of years, or 2 years ago or whatever.
Well, long story short, he's kind of studied about half of Oakwood so far. He's not done. And the drainage from that Oakwood subdivision, we're getting hundreds of thousands of gallons of water into that line that goes along, parallels US 27. And it wasn't intended to be that way when we signed up to take them on with the sanitary. So Don and Jeremy, were you with them when they met with, no, they met with Lonnie Caffey from the county highway superintendent. And
because
said, hey,
those streets are county.
Or county, yeah. Yeah, it's in the county. And they said, hey, see your streets here? Yeah. Well, you got a problem. You got a drainage problem here. He goes, well, we didn't put them there. Well, but it's your road. So I got an email from Jeremy that Jeremy got a phone call from Mark Burry, and they discussed it today, and I believe it did not get discussed at the commissioners meeting today, but we're going to push this onto the county as best we can to get Oakwood subdivision up to where it needs to be. The people out there, they can't afford to do it.
But I'm just wondering, somebody's going to have to pay for that road removal, or that whole system's going to be inoperable, and some period of time it's going to be all clogged with growth. That's another thing.
So,
on the number 4 on this Kokosing bid, it says removal and disposal of grout, bottom clarifier 2 and 3. Did they give you an idea what that's going to be?
so it's been excluded.
See, I don't even know if there's grout down there to remove.
Okay.
We haven't, when I've been present, they didn't really talk about grout.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what part that is. We just got this today, and we haven't really talked to them that much about it.
Do we need a motion on this then?
That was just to let you know.
Yeah, they'll be here.
They'll be here next
meeting.
2 weeks from today
To explain it?
to explain it and go over the whole contract.
Okay. And Kevin, you want to update us on where we're at on the new software? Been ordered?
Yep. First week of April, they will get all of our data and convert it to the new software, and then come back the following 2 weeks to train everybody over here on it. Right now, currently going through, our system currently shows about 1,500 property owners. Now, that's not correct. It's a bunch of old information in there that I'm going through and weeding out, consolidating a bunch of information. There's a lot in there where there's a husband and a wife that own the place, or the property's in the husband's name, the utilities are in the wife's name. And so when we had a couple people come in for a few weeks and put in all of our property owners, they didn't know a lot of people in town, so they didn't know that John was Jane's husband, and so they changed the property owners over. So now I'm going through, and if I know them or if somebody in the office knows them, we're getting some of that out so it gets consolidated.
Now, you're talking about just properties that are rental properties or all properties?
Right now, we have 1,500 properties that would be considered, that have a different owner than what we have listed.
Okay.
that's not going to be...
We don't know if it's a rental property or not,
It's going to be...
and that's what we're working on?
It's going to be about half of that or less by the time I get through the whole... I'm about halfway through. It's about 83 pages long. I'm on page 41 right now. I'm going through that. So.
Trust me, every time I walk by Kevin's office, he's in there just studying it.
I got the GIS site memorized now, so... But yeah, once we get that, I should have that done within the next week or so, and that will go a long way to figure out what we have, and then I'm planning on this week of getting all the information as far as emails or letters or addresses that I have of property owners that we do have rentals, sending them something, letting them know what's happening here, keeping them in the loop at least. So we're moving there. So by, let's see, mid-April, we'll be up and running. We'll know all the capabilities of the software, and then we can move forward as far as with implementing all the new policies and procedures that need to be done over here in the utilities office to make sure it all runs smoothly.
Until then, Tim, do we just continue tabling 2017-15?
Yep.
Okay.
And then when we get to the point where we have a new ordinance, we'll strike the prior one, and we'll move forward on the new one.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin?
Do we need to have the new ordinance before he sets up this new system so that it goes in?
Well, what we're going to do is see what the system is capable of doing so that we know what to put in the ordinance. So, for example, there were some questions about how do we notify owners, how can they check? Well, once we see how the system works, then Kevin and I can figure out what we need to put in the ordinance that spells out what their obligations are.
But you're not going to send any letters out to landlords until that's all done.
Yep.
I thought about sending an email out to the emails that we have, just letting them know that this is the process that we're going through.
It'll likely be, what, May, I think, before we would even...
You're just going to let them know that we're working on the process. You're not telling them how
Yeah,
it's going to
nope,
work.
because...
No, because we, until...
I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell them how it's going to work.
No.
Get ordinance.
No, just say that we're working towards it, because when we first started discussing this, and we had the big crowd here, there was a lot of people calling in and emailing, trying to figure out their properties. That went for about 2 months, and now we probably had at least 10 or so call and email trying to figure out how their properties are working. Now it's down to about 2 people calling and checking in on their properties to see if they're past due, so just let them know that we're still going to do it.
Yeah, I would suggest that for those that we have an email address for, that you just let them know that we haven't forgotten about them. We're still continuing to table that ordinance.
Because part of it too is we're going to make each property owner come in and fill out the paperwork saying we will allow the tenants at these addresses to have the utilities in their name.
If you want.
If we don't have that list, it'll be sent to the property owner, and then it's up to them to figure out how to deal with it. But the software should, what I've been guaranteed as far as software, it'll have a portal for each property owner that they can check every one of their properties to see when bills are due, if it's late, how much is owed, everything that's going on. So.
There should be no reason why they should be caught off guard.
Yeah.
And there won't be any reason for us to have to do any duplicate billing or sending out any extra notices. If you want to know about your properties, it's available for you to go find it.
I look forward to it. It's going to be nice once we have it in place and have everything done. And
we had a meeting yesterday with the software company. It'll be nice.
Yeah. Okay, any other comments for Kevin? Craig, that's all I have.
Motion to adjourn.
Tim, you didn't have any more work to do? Oh. Okay, go ahead.
That's okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll be back in 15.